This is my first YouTube book review. I've got a blog where basically all I do on there is book reviews, but this is my first time trying to do it on YouTube, so I'm not sure if this is the correct format or not, but anyway, trying it anyhow. So, the first one that I'm doing on YouTube is for Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews, which, not surprisingly, came up as a recommendation on Goodreads for anyone who'd added The Fault in Our Stars to their to-read list, which I actually still have yet to read in all complete honesty. I'd read one chapter of it on my iPod Touch, only to realize that trying to read it on that tiny of a screen is miserable because you have to turn the page after like every paragraph. So now that I have a Kindle Paperwhite, much more doable. Now I'm trying the ebooks thing. So anyway, so I figured since alphabetically this was like at the start of my ebooks folder on my computer, why not? I'll start with this one because it sounds interesting. It actually had nothing to do with the fact that there's apparently going to be a movie tie-in. I didn't find that out until after I'd finished it. I didn't know there was going to be a film. I only found that out when I went to search for Me and Earl and the Dying Girl reviews on YouTube, because I kind of wanted to see how everybody else does it, to see if I'm even close to how this is supposed to work. So yeah, anyway. This book, as you can gather by the title, you kind of know, just from the name, what's going to happen going into it. Yes, it is another book like The Fault in Our Stars, where there is a teenage girl with cancer. As you can surmise from the title, yeah, she dies. That's not even a spoiler because you know, going into it, she's gonna die. That said, it's not one of those sappy, cheesy love stories. There is no sappy, cheesy love story here. It's not one of those, it's gonna make you cry sort of stories. I actually didn't cry at all, and I'm an easy crier, so that said, it is surprisingly good. What surprised me, this book is a humorous book. Given the subject matter, I was really, really expecting it was going to be drama. I thought wrong. So, basically, the premise of this story is that it's about a boy named Greg. I know, there's also Earl in the title, I'll get to that. Typical high schooler, doesn't really have any friends. I guess that's not so typical. He doesn't really try to make friends, but he also tries to avoid making enemies. He kind of just wants to be politically neutral. He wants to be Sweden. So, anyway. So, he kind of tries to mingle with everybody without getting close to anyone. In his spare time out of school, he's a filmmaker. He's not a very good filmmaker, but he's a filmmaker. An amateur one at that. This is where his friend, well, I shouldn't say friend, but his partner, not that kind of partner, Earl comes into the picture. They're from basically two completely different worlds, kid from the wrong side of the tracks, basically. He's who he makes his movies with. Basically, these movies are like really, really no-budget, craptastic kind of parodies of their favorite movies. So, like, A Clockwork Orange they did with sock puppets. It turned into a Sockwork Orange. Like, things like that, just to give you an idea. So this is the sort of lives they lead. In amongst this, Greg starts telling you... I'm sorry, I'm, like, really bothered by my hair today. Greg starts to tell you his history with girls. Or girlfriends, even though none of them are really girlfriends, in all honesty. So he goes down the list and he tells about how things went horribly wrong with every one of them. One of these girls was really not even a girlfriend, it was just a girl he went to Hebrew school with named Rachel. And he just was able to make her laugh a lot when they were friends. They were never like a couple or anything, but when it started seeming like it might become something more, he started like dodging out of like going over to visit her anymore. Didn't want to really talk to her. He'd come up with like these ridiculous lies just to get out of having to hang out with her. So you fast forward a few years, he's totally moved on, probably doesn't even really remember much about this girl. He comes home from school one day, his mom has something to tell him, that this girl, Rachel, that the mom makes it out to sound like he's friends with still, has cancer. And because he can make her laugh, or was able to make her laugh, she thinks that it'd be a really good idea if Greg went and spent some time with her to make her laugh, make things easier for her. But she's just like, that sounds like the most hellish thing you could ask me to do. Why would you want me to do that? But basically gets pressured by his mom into doing this. Because he was such a dick to her before, she initially doesn't really want anything to do with him and assumes this is like a pity thing, which, fair enough. He eventually cracks through the shell and all that, and they eventually start hanging out, and he does start making her laugh again. And somewhere in there, it slips that he makes films, but they're super secret films that he doesn't show to anybody. Which, of course, has her curiosity piqued, but she doesn't say anything about it. Till the day that he brings Earl over with him one of these days that he goes to visit her. Earl lets it slip about these films as well, and offers to show her some of them, completely betraying Greg's trust here. And Greg's just like, what the hell are you doing, man? But he's like, yeah, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway. So, basically, long story short, Earl starts sneaking her these movies. And she loves them. She thinks they're hilarious and just absolutely falls in love with them. So he brings her a few more. And then because she's seen this many and seems to enjoy them, Greg starts loaning them to her. And she eventually goes through all of them, loves all of them. Obviously, as you can surmise from the title, her health keeps declining. And it gets to a point where it's pretty obvious she's not going to get better. So her best friend at school, who Greg also happens to have a major league crush on, asks Greg if they could make a film specifically for Rachel. Which he kind of agrees to just because she is who she is, but doesn't really think about it as he's agreeing to it, what he's agreeing to. The more he thinks about it after the fact, he realizes, I don't know what exactly she just asked me to make for her. So this turns into basically a mishmash collection of failed attempts of making a movie for Rachel. And they try all different genres and styles, and you name it, different approaches, but none of them really work, which one probably would have guessed. And he eventually realizes somewhere along the line that the reason this sucked isn't because they're crappy filmmakers, it's because they're trying to make a movie for a girl that they never really took the time to really get to know much about. That's about as deep as the story gets, is that realization right there. Anyhow, so Rachel gets much worse and kind of gives up and ends up back in the hospital in her dying days and all that. And Rachel's mom and Greg's mom decide to show it to the school, and it turns into this huge thing where everybody now resents Greg for what they assume is him forcing them all to sit through amateur movie hour or whatever. Yeah. It's really bad, and this is the much abridged version of all of it. And it doesn't hit Greg until she's basically already gone, that he waited too long to get to know her, now it's too late, and so many things are just being lost that he wishes he could have captured. Like I said, that's about as deep as this gets. So, yeah. What really kind of gets me about this, though, is that the tone that the book is written in is very authentic of a teenage boy. There's no flowery language here or anything, it just sounds like you're reading a teenage boy talk. Complete with colorful cuss words, not even just normal ones. Oh, no. Like, there's some very colorful ones that cracked me up that they sound like something you'd legit hear out of a teenager's mouth. So I was like, that was a really nice touch. And also interesting to me is that the book flips back and forth between different writing styles. Like, parts of it are in like a normal narrative, other parts are in like bulleted lists and things. A lot of it is written in like script format dialogue. And those are the parts that made this book a really, really quick read for me. I think it took me like 3 days total to read the whole thing, and that was with really sparingly going at it. If I had wanted to, I could have read this all in one sitting, no problem. It's an easy read. But yeah, the whole thing, like I said, I'm very impressed that given the subject matter, none of it's really like a pity party or anything. It's not that kind of a story. It's not like what I surmise Fault in Our Stars to be. It's an actual humorous book, which is very rare when taking into account the subject matter here. And the fact that the girl dying of cancer isn't really the central focus of the story. It's more like how her and her situation are affecting Greg in his life without actually being the central focus. So it's kind of interesting to like see one of these sort of stories from the point of view of a different character for once than of the one who is like actively dying, you know? So that was a nice touch as well. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else really worth noting with this one, but I kind of think that's really all I've got to say about it, other than I'm really intrigued to see now that I found out there's going to be a film. I want to see what they do with it. Ooh, almost knocked down my camera. Yeah, I'd really like to see how they go about doing this and how true to the book they keep it. Those of you who know me know that I'm very big on reading novelizations of books and making the comparisons between the two, so once the movie's out, I probably will do another video that's a comparison of the book versus the film. So, there's that. So, anyway. Yeah, I'm very intrigued about it now. I'm kind of excited because, while I wouldn't say it's the greatest book ever written, it was a fun read. Like I said, that sounds weird saying that about a book about this nature, but no, it actually was a fun read. So, I'd recommend it. Yes, it is from like the teen/YA genre, but, you know, I kind of have a cheesy place in my heart for the YA genre, so I still read them. But anyway, I'd say on a star rating out of 5, I rated about 4. Like I said, it's not the greatest thing I ever read, but I did enjoy it quite a bit, and I sailed right through it, so that says a lot too. So, I kind of wish it were longer in all honesty, but it is what it is. And this is currently the only book by Jesse Andrews. I'd be really interested to see if he goes on to write more books or if he's just like a one-hit wonder and never writes anything else. Kind of rests on his laurels and that's that. But if he ever writes anything else, I'd be very interested to read what else he's got. I don't know if he's planning anything else. I should probably go check his Twitter. If any of you happen to know who follow his work more closely than I do, please let me know in the comments if he is planning to write another book, because I'd really be interested to read it. So, anyway, that's about all I've got to say on this one, because it's my first YouTube book review, so I'm kind of floundering for what to say. I'm still learning how this works. So as usual, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, leave any comments, thoughts, whatnot in the comment bar. If you have any recommendations of other things you'd like me to read, feel free to leave them. I can't promise that I'll read and review all of these, but if any of them grab me and sound interesting, there's a good chance I will. So, anyway, till next time.